The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
Now, Waleed, this is very important because it's going to lead to what I think is going to be a news-making interview right now. You have been one of the few brave, courageous scholars and writers in this country, Shoebat.com, where you have been documenting President Obama's brother and his ties to radical Islam and terrorist organizations. You've just touched on it a little bit now. For the American public, for the audience of Cooner Country, can you explain to them what is going on with Obama's brother and what are his ties to radical Islam?
Obama's brother, and not only his brother, but his grandmother, his cousin Musa Ismail Obama, his uncle Saeed Obama. We have the photos, we have the interviews, we have a litany of evidence in which even on Al Jazeera, Musa Ismail Obama, his cousin, stated that they raise funds in the United States for recruitment in the most virulent Wahhabi schools in Saudi Arabia. One of them is Al-Qura University, which is the university founded by Muhammad Abdul Wahhab, the founder of Wahhabism himself. We were on the cutting edge in revealing the family connections with the Wahhabists, not just, the Muslim Brotherhood and this kind of thing, but the Wahhabists as well in Saudi Arabia, in which they get grand treatment by the Saudi government, in which they clearly stated that they are raising these funds from the United States for recruitment to madrasas, which is really the hub and the training ground for terrorists. Now, President Obama's brother, Malik or Obongo Obama, he is the executive director of the Islamic Dawah Organization, Branch Sudan. Sudan is recognized as a terror state. Omar al-Bashir, who we have the photos showing him working with Omar al-Bashir, who's wanted for 7 counts in the International Criminal Court. We were on the cutting edge of obtaining the photos, obtaining the meetings, obtaining the details of Obama's brother working with Sarwar Dahab, who goes to Hamas and encourages Hamas, telling them that they're about to destroy Israel, who works with the spiritual head of the Muslim Brotherhood, Sheikh Yusuf al-Qaradawi. This is his boss. We have them together in these meetings, in these events of fundraising. You have Lewis Lerner, who okayed illegally, the IRS illegally permitted President Obama's brother to gain a 501c3 illegally while they knew what he was doing. Now, somebody could tell me this is only Obama's brother. Obama is not related to what his brother does. Now, the might of the the IRS, allows President Obama's brother to get a 501c3, knowing what he's doing with his monies in support for terrorist causes. They allow this to happen because the name Obama was used. That should be illegal. You cannot use the president's name for nefarious dealings in the Middle East. Secondly, the government of Egypt itself, Tahani al-Jabali, who was the judge in the Constitutional Court of Egypt, has their filing charges there with the district attorney. They have more evidence that they say that Obama's brother was seen operating in terrorist military installments in Mali, in Africa. And this is the kind of evidence they want to present to the Egyptian court in Egypt. This hasn't came out yet. And that's what they're talking about in Egypt. The government of Egypt is not haphazardly filing charges against Obama's brother. They have the evidence. They've used some of the evidence that I've worked with. So if the government of Egypt sees through that President Obama and family is involved in supporting the Muslim Brotherhood, why would it be that President Obama would be upset when the Muslim Brotherhood was ousted by valiant, courageous Egyptians who finally said enough is enough? Mohammed Morsi brought 2,000 terrorists who were wanted under the death penalty in the military courts in Egypt. He brought them into Egypt from Al-Qaeda. He brought terrorists from Bosnia, from Pakistan, from Afghanistan. Where is the war on terror? Why would we not rejoice if Sisi ousted the element of terrorism in Egypt, if indeed President Obama is on a war rampage against terrorism.
We're talking with Waleed Shoebat, one of the world's leading experts on terrorism on the Middle East. Now, Waleed, we wanted to have you on live a couple days ago to explain to us what's happening in Syria and the ties of Obama and his Muslim brother, Malik, and everything that Malik has been doing regarding his connections with radical Islam. Then we got a shocking text and email from one of your associates, and I want you to lay out this story to the American people, because what it now appears to be happening is because of your courageous investigative reporting, you now are claiming you are the victim of government-sponsored harassment by the Obama regime, correct?
That is correct.
What is happening, Waleed? What's happening with your phones? What has been going on? What kind of harassment and intimidation and persecution have you been enduring?
First of all, I know that they are very upset at what I am doing regarding President Obama's brother, because the Blaze called me. They've called the government asking them to comment on some of my research, in which the government expressed that they are very upset, that the president is upset about the things that we are doing regarding his family. Okay, so now we know that the government, they're trying to even deny that my translation is accurate. So I asked the Blaze to ask the government to give us the correct translation regarding the issues that we brought, whether it's from Egypt, them claiming that they're charging President Obama with supporting terrorism or not. So far, I haven't seen the government give an alternative translation to my work regarding the Obama family. Okay, then you begin for several months. You would see your telephone says busy when you try to use your telephone, which means they tap into your telephone without the ringer going on, in which they can hear and listen to what you are saying inside the house. And then one point in time, this busy signal remained indefinite. Somehow it got messed up, and we had to call the telephone company, in which the telephone company said this is the most unusual thing they've ever seen. When I asked the telephone company to change my telephone number, they looked into my records, and the operative who's working on the other line says, in my life, I've never seen something on your file that I've seen ever before. I can't tell you what it is. I need to speak to my supervisor. Bingo. That tells me there is something going on. They're listening into my home, and then you get this harassment phone calls, several per day. And then I have one interview, a pre-recorded
interview. Okay, hold on, Waleed. Before you get to the interview, what kind of harassment phone calls have you been getting?
All sorts of noises, sounds, hanging up. It just doesn't reveal anything to you. It's just harassment. That's all it is. I've spoken to security forces that I've known, friends of mine, and they said we're in the 5th generation harassment by the government, and they have very sophisticated system. You can never trace any of the numbers. Every time you try to trace those numbers, you cannot trace the numbers. It's done by professionals, they told me. It is a professional entity that is doing this, and it's very likely the United States government.
Now, Waleed, then this is what really sent chills down my spine. So you do a pre-taped interview, a pre-recorded interview. It hasn't aired yet. And what happened?
Right.
What happened?
Right. In fact, the interview was Rick Wiles, a Christian TV station, radio station, in which we're good friends and we interviewed before. We finished the pre-recorded interview. Several minutes later, I get called from one of these phone calls, and my pre-recorded interview is played to my ear. They're playing my interview, and not only they're playing the interview to my ear, but they're making it like it's a jockey at the end of the line, in which they're repeating the same words again and again and again, making it go back and forth, so it could become a nuisance to my ear. And it is the recording that I just did 5 minutes before with Rick Wiles. I called Rick Wiles asking him, why is the recording that we had is being played to me? Have you done anything? He was also very shocked. He says, what are you talking about? I didn't call you to play the recording to you. So it is somebody who can tap into your telephone. In fact, this conversation we're having right now is being tapped by the government. So it's somebody with sophistication that can tap into your telephone. This is not harassment calls only. This is someone who can record every single conversation you have. They wanted me to know that we are watching you, that we are after you. Even when I'm traveling on my cell phone, I call my son. My line goes to a different line in which it is a harassment call again. And my son says, I hear the ring coming from you, but I say hello and nobody can answer on the other line. And this is the kind of thing they're doing to us. They're trying to make me tired, to exhaust me. But they do not understand. I'm a Christian from the East. I am not one of those Christians you watch on television. We are people who are willing to die. And this is to the United States government. They can bother me. They can harass me. They can destroy me. They try to. It doesn't matter. Nothing is going to stop an Eastern Christian from fighting this fight. I am not from the Middle West. I'm from the Middle East. Just as I was stubborn when I was a terrorist, I'm stubborn as a Christian. Nothing can stop us from revealing the truth to the American people.
Waleed, let me just ask you this then, one final question. You believe, and you're going to say this, you're on the record, you believe the Obama regime, the Obama administration, the U.S. government is deliberately harassing, targeting, and spying on you because of your investigative work, not just regarding Syria, not just regarding the ties to Saudi Arabia, but in particular because of his brother, Malik's brother's involvement with radical Islam, correct?
That is correct. This is what we believe, and this is what we learned from the Blaze when they called the government asking them to comment, and their comments clearly stated that they are very, very upset at the work we're doing.
Are you going to move? Are you making any plans to leave, or are you going to stay and hunker down?
As I said before, I'm hunkering down. It is till death do us part. The government needs to understand the type of Christians they're dealing with. We are not the kind of Christians that will go silent. We are more encouraged by the harassment. It will continue to encourage me to understand that persecution is part and parcel of this faith that I believe in. So nothing will stop me. It will simply encourage me. Let them bring it on. Bring on the whole world. Nothing can stop us from standing and fighting the fight as Christians. For years, people are ashamed to be called Christians in this country. For years, we kowtow to all kinds of ism in this world, compromising our faith and what we stand for. We are not compromising. We will never compromise. We should never compromise in what we believe.
We have been talking with Waleed Shoebat, international expert on terrorism and the Middle East, critic of the Obama regime. Waleed, where can people go? And I'm sure a lot want to. Where can they go to buy your books, read your blogs, read your writings?
Shoebat.com, just as you spell the word shoe, S-H-O-E, bat, B-A-T, shoebat.com. Now I'll be accused of doing it for selling books. The might of CNN internationally tried to destroy me for selling books at an event and selling Christian books. The might of CNN tried to slander me, nothing but slander, and it never stopped us. CNN failed. The government will fail. The whole world will fail. The only thing that will separate us from the love that we have for God is death, so they have to come and kill us if they want to. They're welcome to do so. I am awaiting.
We have been talking with Waleed Shoebat. Waleed, stay safe. God bless you, my friend, and we'll get you back on the Kuna Report soon. Take care.
God bless you as well.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.